Well, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. We're fighting for the mountains. We shall not be moved. Fighting for the mountains. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. Be my guide, Lord. Please be my guide. Be my guide, Lord. Please be my guide. While I'm on this teacher's journey, I want you, Lord, I need you. I want you, oh God, I need you. Sometimes it's too dark, I can't see my way. I want you, Lord, I want you just to be my guide all along the way. So much destruction in my way, but I won't give up. No, I won't give in. No, I won't turn back, because Lord, I need you. I want you, Lord, I want you. Please walk, please walk. Don't ever leave my side, Lord. I know it's dark, sometimes it gets dim, but we need you, Lord. Turn it around, turn it around. Lord, I want you. Please walk with me. Repeat after me, all right? Repeat after me. Say we. We will. We will win. Say I. I believe. I believe we will. I believe we will win. I believe that 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 we will win. Looking good and sounding good, y'all. Let's have another Hell No Joe on top of that. 1, 2, 3. Hell no, Joe! Here's my brother Jason.
Halito again, Chima Chukma again. I hope y'all are good. Again, I'd like to just give my gratitude for the 2 legs that brought you here, the heart pumping that keeps you standing here. Those that have been doing this the longest, my hats and respect off to you. Those that have been doing this generationally, historically, my prayers are with you every day. I want to educate you on a little bit something about this building here and this thing that we call democracy, which I don't know how many days ago just turned on its end, and they made a unilateral decision to federally impose something on the people that restrictions had been fought for decades, that they made a unilateral decision as they said the words environmental racism or environmental justice, speaking against environmental injustice, as they said those words to get elected, to get our hopes up, to get our smiles and our hearts feeling like it was going to be peaceful. They made a unilateral decision on Memorial Day weekend to impose these permit regulations and fast track these things. So did anybody want to think about, have you ever looked in the newspaper and they tell you about how these Congress and senators had to get home on Friday to the golf course so they couldn't pass a federal funding bill? You seen those, right? But to beat us or to think they beat us, they met on a Saturday and Sunday of Memorial Day weekend to flip the rules that they made that we won. So I want to go back to the history of this idea that these folks got. This democracy that they call it in their colonized language is an indigenous principle.
That's right.
And I'm not going to say that indigenous people didn't have our share of conflict. But you know what? We don't honor the stories of our wars. We honor the stories of how we made peace. One of those makings of peace was a confederacy of 5, now 6 nations, but those nations adopted many nations that they were trying to pick off. They actually adopted my wife's Okanichi-Saponi Tutelo Nation and brought them up to sanctuary in Canada in the 1700s. But those nations, before it was actually colonization and genocide and brutalization, when it was just fair, peaceful trade, they had something that they had founded for generations called the Great Law of Peace. The colonizers heard of such a thing and said, we want to steal that and make it ours, so that we're different from that European monarchy that we ran from in Europe. Now they stole everything, but you know what they left out? The most principal concepts of the Great Law of Peace. The women's voice is not only important, but the elder women, the clan mothers, the great-grandmothers get the last word. The other principle is that the most vulnerable of our communities gets a word. The sick, the ones with less things, the poor, if you will. But we didn't have those words because none of our people were poor. But those that were vulnerable in the community got to sit in there with the council and have their voice heard and appreciated and respected. So they stole this thing called democracy, and they said, we're going to take all the good things, but we're going to keep it only to white men. So no disrespect to my white male brothers, but we've had how many hundreds of years of white old men failing? I believe it is time for some new ideas, some new concepts, and not just bringing up our non-European descendants, giving them a suit, giving them a little bit in their pocket, and turning them into colonizers. We don't need that. We need our idealistic young people that have values, that don't honor things like money and things and capital and consumption. They don't need to go to the fast track and get their burger made in 30 seconds because they remember how much better the food is when grandma takes hours to make it. We need people with those values. We understand that all of us are two-legged human neighbors. I've got descendancy from 3 of the so-called racial classes that I don't even believe in. But I say achatasia because otherwise my great-grandmother family will be invisibilized. I say achatasia because that language was illegal to be spoken to many of my generations. So I've been asked to sing a song that was just kind of like, I got to educate you before I sing this song. Because it's a song that united the American Indian movement, but a lot of people have a bad concept of that. They think it's an organization that just came together in the 70s after watching the Black Liberation Movement out of prisons, out of poverty, out of alcohol and addiction victory, and got us our religious rights and cultural rights back. If you have ever been in an A meeting, they will say, no, it's not an organization, it's a spiritual movement that has been going on since our first ancestor was brutalized. Yes. However long ago, you do the math. So, in the spiritual movement, like I said, you all are all being subject to plantation and reservation politics, because that was the plan all along. So this is actually a unity song. I'm allowed to sing it because I do run in a circle in North Carolina called the 17 Rivers chapter of the American Indian movement. But again, it's not an organization. It's a spiritual movement. It's a sober movement. It's a justice movement. So I'm going to sing it if I can, because my voice is going. And just know that our songs are not performances. When we pray with these songs, they're from the heart. So do not judge my voice, judge my heart. So that is the unity song. So there's another song we're going to sing. It's the Leonard Peltier song. And I don't care what you've heard of Leonard Peltier. These young men, these young indigenous men formed this justice organization out of prisons. These young men went to boarding schools. These young men experienced physical abuse, emotional abuse, and most worstly, sexual abuse. And these men found their voice in their 20s, coming out of their prisons and out of the addictions. And so if you want to judge any of them, if you want to judge any black liberation movement, if you want to judge brown berets, the so-called Southern brother, but they're indigenous brother movement, if you want to judge the Asian brothers, if you want to judge the poor white brothers that knew that the race thing was a lie from the concept, do not judge these people. It is poor people that lead us to justice, as we can see. Welo, hey, hey, welo, hey, hey, welo, hey, hey, we, hi, welo, hey, welo, hey, hey, we, hi, welo, hey, welo, hey. Welo, hey, hey, I'm going to complete with something that I need you to also understand. Protection of our water was always given the responsibility to our women. Not that we all don't have that relationship to water, but our women have a direct, divine relationship between the water that they carry our two-legged selves in. And so even though I have the loudest masculine voice, even though that's powerful in our colonized system, all I serve is to protect these women who reminded us of this movement to protect this land, this air, and this water. So with that, I'm going to ask Sophia, my relative, my indigenous relative, to have some words, because I think I've said enough. Thank you.
That was unexpected. So my name is Dr. Sophia Marjanovic. I am Oglala Lakota from the Fort Peck Oceti Sakowee tribe. And the reason I have been in the DC area on and off since 2007 is because my community has never had clean water. And it has been due to oil drilling since the 1950s. The top killer of our women in our community is cancer. Babies are born blue in my community, and children are always sickly. I don't, it's living here in the DC area, it's hard often because there's so much wealth here that I don't think people realize what it's like when children don't have the ability to even thrive with their health because they're always sick due to the fact that the water comes out of the faucet red, yellow, orange. It smells like petroleum and it has oil droplets floating atop it. And it's hard being out here, often by myself. I am Two-Spirit, and it was recognized when I was young that I was not entirely feminine. And so I've done a lot to sacrifice to ensure that my community gets heard and represented in places that they don't have the privilege that I have in order to access. And that privilege, unfortunately, is due to the fact that my parents were able to assimilate a little bit better than other people. So I've been out here in the DC area on and off since 2007. I got my PhD in immunology and microbiology from the National Institutes of Health and George Washington University. And the whole reason I did that was so that my community could get accountability for the fact that the polluted water has had an adverse impact on our community. As a scientist, I can tell you that the studies that have been done regarding oil drilling and these pipelines, it leads to disproportionate amounts of cancer in our communities, regardless of whether or not what color your skin is. You have an adverse impact or you're adversely impacted by the oil drilling. The other thing I want to say is thank you to the people who sacrificed back there, who are putting their bodies on the line so that we could have clean water. And so that our children and grandchildren and generations beyond can have clean water. The reason why I do any of this, the reason why I sacrifice and deal with isolation oftentimes in colonial spaces is because I have an obligation as an Oceti Sakowee person to ensure that I'm acting as a good ancestor to generations I will never meet. And this country has taken so much from us. They've taken our land, so let's also acknowledge that we are on Piscataway and Pamunkey and various I've forgotten. This is their land. And so what I ask of you, because I know the environmental movement still has a lot of growth to do, is when you are in your meetings, make sure you look around and see who's not there. And if you're not seeing the indigenous people on whose land you're occupying, if you got to, reach out to me. I'll hook you up. Because we cannot continue to act in colonial ways without including the people and building relationships and being good relatives to the people on whose land we're occupying. Even me, as a Lakota person out here on Piscataway land, I am an occupier of their land, and I have a responsibility and an obligation in order to build relationships with them to ensure that I'm being a good relative to them. So make sure you're doing that in your movement spaces when you go home. And I'm going to leave it there. Thank you.
Hi everybody. I didn't plan on coming up here today. I was just very moved by everybody that has spoken. I just wanted to first say thank you to my Indigenous brothers and sisters who have been here on the front line since the theft of their country and their land, who have been fighting for the environmental justice that they deserve. I wanted to speak about, when we're talking about environmental justice, the main people that are affected are Indigenous and Black and brown people, because we are the ones that are left behind. We aren't the ones that can get into those rooms and get into those offices and let our voices be heard. So we need to listen to the people that have been on the front lines since the beginning of the founding of this country and hear what they're saying. Cities like Flint, back home, are very affected by climate inaction, because the climate isn't just changing. It's happening due to inaction from politicians and from corporations and from the people with the money that are trying to get into these politicians' office and do what they want to do for their own, to line their own pockets. And when we're speaking about politicians, there's been a lot of talk lately about how certain things are affecting the kids, how drag queens are affecting the kids, how the queer community is affecting the kids. I don't think that drag queens are stopping kids from going outside and breathing. If we're speaking about protecting the kids, we need to speak about gun control. We need to speak about protecting the environment. We need to speak about letting people know about the history of this country and not calling it critical race theory. It's not critical race theory, it's history. It's the history of how this country was founded. I think politicians are doing everything for the greed. They're doing everything for greed, and they're not doing anything to help the people that got them into office. If you're elected into office by the people, you are meant to serve the people. That's really all I have to say. I wanted to lead a chant in the words of Assata Shakur. So just like repeat after me. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. 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 I'm not gonna lie, y'all, Biden can't hear you. I said we have nothing to lose but our chains. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? Are we still angry? Yeah! So let's make sure he hears it. What do we want? Where do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! We want it! Now! We don't get it! Shut it down! 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 And that's exactly what we will do. We will continue to come back and take the streets until Joe Biden understands that we are serious about saying no to any more new fossil fuels. My name is Vanessa Agudelo. I'm coming here from the city of Peekskill in the state of New York. And Peekskill is an environmental justice community just like many many of the communities that some of the folks are coming here from. And Peekskill's also home to the only site in the country where we have a now decommissioning nuclear power plant sitting on top of fracked gas pipeline. That's right. So we are no stranger to being a sacrifice zone. And that's why I came to DC to say no to MVP, to say no to fossil fuel infrastructure, and to say no to communities continuing to be sacrificed for the sake of corporate profits. This is about corporate greed. So we must ask President Biden, whose side are you on? Are you on the side of corporate greed, or are you on the side of the community, of the well-being of humanity? We need to continue to make our message heard, so I just want to say thank you so much to all of you for being here, because we must continue to fight, we must continue to advocate, we must continue to take the streets, because this is our planet, this is our democracy, and we need to continue to make our voices heard to make sure we stop any new fossil fuel from happening, especially the MVP. Thank you.